All right. Can somebody, because right now I have my screen on present mode, so I can't see whether you guys are seeing my screen. Can somebody just turn on their audio and let me know that they're able to see my, like, kind of an orange screen here? Can you all see that or
I
no?
can't see
Yeah,
it, but
I
I've
can't
been
see
having
anything.
problems
Okay, so
today.
you're not
I
seeing it.
can't see it either.
All right, see? This is
What
solving problems.
orange screen?
All right, hold on. There we go. I think it's coming up now. How about now? Now does it work?
Yep.
Okay. So our goals for today's lesson, specifically today's lesson, is to talk about what your final field visit is going to look like, although your final field visit is probably not something you're going to do today. Today's supposed to be kind of rainy and a little bit cool tomorrow, but the rest of the week looks decent, 40s and sunny or partly sunny. So you should be able to get your final field visit in this week without too much trouble. I do want to look at the calendar. You'll see the calendar here on our screen, and the orange box right here is today. So we have this week and next week, and then we have a 3-day week ahead of Thanksgiving, but during that week we'll be doing straight 6 schedule each day. So I don't know exactly what that is going to look like yet, but you'll get information about that beforehand. And then you will have kind of a shortened week with where we won't have class on Friday. I guess it's not a shortened week for you. It'll be another regular week before the end of this trimester. So it's essentially 3.5 weeks of class remaining. And the main focus of these last few weeks is going to be to sort of compile and create a final presentation of the work you've completed at your field site. So you're essentially going to create a report for us to share what you've learned about the field site that you studied in wildlife biology this year. So to do that, I'd like, and you can follow along with me just so that you're seeing what we're doing, but I'd like everybody to go into the course in Schoology. So as I said, you can certainly look on the screen here with me, but there are going to be things I'm going to ask you to open, so you may want to just follow along. We are in week 9 here. Come on. And so you will see, and I just want to give you a quick tour of what's on here. The live class videos, if you're here right now, obviously you don't need to do this part. This is just for people who are not able to make it to class. There are 2 asynchronous assignments. One of them is your field visit. The other is a assignment from last week that I just wanted to review with each of you. So last week, nope. Yep. Last week, we were watching a video on direct and indirect sampling in populations, how wildlife biologists solve problems in the real world using their skills. And we took notes on the outbreak of rats. Now, each hour got to a slightly different place, so I don't remember how far you got in these notes. And if you don't recognize these notes or you don't remember doing this, when we are done with class today, you should stay and talk to me because we'll be done a few minutes early, or come to my office hours. But the gist of it is that I'm pretty sure your class got most of the information, that we basically got to the end of the video. Am I correct in that? Did we get to the point where they were talking about how to solve the problem after the rats come, like what people should do? Where they were talking about planting their crops earlier, like they established the timing? Okay. So the last part of that, I'm seeing a few of you nod, so thank you for those of you who have your camera on and are nodding. I'm going to assume everybody else can say yes, but if you can't, you need to make sure that you either turn on your audio and say, Mr. Burns, I don't know where this is, or you stay at the end of class and we talk about it. So what I need everybody to finish, and you'll submit to this assignment, is these bottom sort of reflection statements. Now, we went over this in class, so if you were kind of like on it and like really like thinking about what was on this sheet as we talked, you may have already filled this out, in which case all you need to do is download a PDF and submit that. But the reflection questions ask you to consider the strategies that the bamboo and the rats were using, and why the bamboo might only flower every 48 years. Why does it make so much seed? What advantages does that give it? And then what are the advantages that the rats have in responding? Like, what are their behaviors? And then finally, what were the recommendations? Because the whole point of that video was to show you that wildlife biologists collect data that can be used by other people to solve problems, but that oftentimes the biologists couldn't solve the problems without the help of the local knowledge of the community, right? So those people had information about the bamboo. They knew about the bugs that would come early that would signal the outbreak of the rats. They had some cultural knowledge, but they didn't have that hard data that allowed them to go back in time and solve the problem. And that makes sense, because there's a very it's like the mindset of somebody who's thinking like a scientist is different than the mindset of somebody who's just dealing with the problem of a famine, for instance. So this is one of the asynchronous assignments that needs to get completed and submitted. So now let's say you're like, well, that's great, Mr. Burns, but I wasn't in class. Oh, perfect. I have a solution for you. In this assignment, if you open it up, you will see the direct versus indirect survey video. Okay. Oh, and also you see some of you have already submitted it. Maybe you just did that right now. If you open this video, it's going to take you to a YouTube link, and that YouTube link will, if my computer was able to process opening a link, it's an hour and 3 minutes long, which is a really long video. But that's because I'm essentially playing the video of the rat attack over my discussion of what is going on. So if you missed part of it, like let's say you missed the first half or the second half because you weren't there last Monday, you can fast forward to the part of the video where you stopped having the information, and then you can play it from there in order to see what the key ideas are that you need to understand. Okay? Are there questions about that assignment before I move on to the second thing? Okay. All right. So back in week 9 of Schoology here, the second thing I'd like you to open up and make a copy of for yourself is the asynchronous assignment field visit number 6. When you click on this right here, it's going to prompt you to make a copy. So please do that right now, if everybody could make a copy of that. So right now you're going to make a copy of the field visit number 6. and it will look like this. And once you've made your own copy, can you please turn on your video and give me a thumbs up to show me that you have completed that? You do not need to leave your video on, but turn it on for a moment. Even if you're just showing, thank you, even if you're just showing me the ceiling and the thumb. I'm not sure if I got everybody there. Marcus, you got it? Austin?
Yeah.
Is that a thumbs up, Marcus? All right. How about you, Austin Anatoli?
Looking good.
You're good? Austin, you got it up? All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so it looks like, not like that. It looks like this. You're going to start by opening the link here. You have to go to the link first. It's going to take you to this, which are the instructions for what to do. But what you'll submit is this document. So it says the first thing, change the title of this document to include your first name plus field experience reflection number 6. So yours up here right now is going to say copy of. So change the title to be your first name, field experience reflection 6. Okay. And then open this link right here. And you should get to this page. I can see 5 of you are already there. All right, we got a few more there. Okay, so I think we got most of you here. And again, if you're having trouble finding it, let me know. So this is going to be your step-by-step instructions for your 6th field visit. Now, this one doesn't have to be done until the end of next week, okay, for timing purposes. So you can look ahead. This week, the end of the week, the weather looks pretty nice, so I would do it this week. But you should pay attention to what you're going to have to do in this week's reflection because it's going to probably take you a little bit more time. This is your final site visit. You're going to be journaling and taking some photos. So we're not going to be doing hard data collection like we have in the past. This time you're going to spend 20 minutes, though, at your sit spot, the spot where you sat the first few weeks before you were getting up and walking around so much. And you're just going to be observing your site. And I want you to do that for 20 minutes this week, which is longer than I've asked you to for any of the other field visits. But my hope is that you've kind of gotten better at spending time and just quietly observing your field site. So make sure you bring a timer and then something to sit on, maybe the sit-up-on we made in class. And then you need a field notebook or a journal or something like that to draw in. And I'm going to ask you to send me some photos of your journal this week, as well as a reflection. So you're going to spend 20 minutes, and for those 20 minutes, you're going to alternate between observing your site and writing, right? So I want there not to be any other distractions. Your cell phone, if that's what just timing for you, that's fine, but it should be in your pocket. It shouldn't be coming out, and you're not looking at your cell phone during this time. It's up to you how you decide to journal or what you want to write about, but I have some suggestions here right? What are you seeing and smelling? It could be like a timeline of events, like things you notice or things you're paying attention to. You can describe how you're feeling or maybe how your feelings change during the time that you're there. Are you, what are you thinking about when you first get there? What are you thinking about near the end? You could reflect on what's changed over the past couple months, try to be specific and descriptive, and that could be what you spend your time journaling about, or how have your feelings about your site or your understandings of your site changed over the past couple months. Look for things that you did in your biodiversity survey back in week 3. Have they changed, right? Or just keep a running timeline of all the thoughts as you notice them that are going through your head. You can also include drawings. A lot of students like to make little sketches of things and bird hops by or something like that. Once you're done with those 20 minutes, and that you should have a lot. I mean, after 20 minutes, your journal should have quite a bit of information, even though I'm not asking you to write in paragraph form by any means, or bullet points and things like that, or little sketches are great. But you should have a pretty extensive recording of what you've done after 20 minutes or so. When you're done, you're going to take 3 photos. These will be the last 3 photos of your site that you need to take, recreating the photos from your first field visit. So one of where you sit, one of the big scene, and one of the selfie of you with your site in the background. And this will be the 3rd time you've taken it. You took it in week 1, took those photos in week 1. You took them for your field visit when you did maybe it was field visit 4. It was either field visit 3 or 4. And now you're doing it again in field visit 6. Okay. And then you're going to return to this document. You're going to insert those photos. But the main thing you're doing here is part B. And this is why I'm giving you 2 weeks and why you might want to think ahead, is that I'd like you to write a summary of your experience at your field site. Can be about this week and the season as a whole, but it needs to be a minimum of 250 words. So this is going to be a pretty hefty sized paragraph when you're done. And I'm looking for your reflection on the experience. So you can talk about things you saw and things you did, but it should also be like how you felt about it, how your feelings changed, either in an individual day or over the course of the season, what you feel like you've learned, what insight you've gained. Okay. Are there questions about the field site visit? Okay. All right. So then the last thing that we're going to do, you're going to need your cell phone. Find your cell phone. Okay. And depending on whether you have an Android or an iOS system, I'd like you to download an app called LeafSnap. And if you, I'll type that in here. Whoops. Okay. It's a free app, and it allows you to identify plants from a photo. I'm going to give you a minute or 2 here to get LeafSnap downloaded. And if anybody has trouble with that, can you hop on and let me know, or you'll need to stay at the end of the hour to talk about it. All right, so some of you may still be working on that, but this is what you're going to get, and I know it's going to be a little hard to show you my cell phone on the computer screen, but this is what it's going to look like when you get to the page where you can do a photo. And I'm sorry, my mirroring is off on my screen here, but you're going to notice that there are two options. You can either take a photo or get a photo from your gallery. A lot of you are going to use this getting a photo from your gallery, because the other thing I'd like you to try to do this week is to find out what those plants are that you identified in your biodiversity survey. Remember back in week 2 or 3, I had you go out and either collect samples like bark rubbings, or you collected and pressed some plants, or you took photos. Well, from photos for sure, and probably from plant pressings, you can identify the species using this LeafSnap app. Okay, and if you've got a photo of them already because you took the photo when you were out in the field, you just put them into the gallery there and they work. Okay, now if your plant is, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So I've got a little plant here, right? So if your plant is, you did a bark rubbing, for instance, or your plant is still growing out at your field site, you can also do it directly by going out there. And so I'm going to do just take a photo, and I'm going to take a photo of this plant. Okay. And so I've got a photo that I took, and it asks me to just say okay. So once I've got a nice clear photo, then this screen is going to pop up and it's going to say, is this a leaf, a flower, bark, or whatever? And it can identify it from bark. So you can take a picture of your tree, just the bark, and it'll know what it is, even if the leaves are gone. So, but this one has leaves. So I clicked leaf, and then it's going to process for a minute. Now you're going to get an ad, okay? This is why it's a free app. You just got to make sure you X out of that ad or close that ad. And when you do, it's going to show you a list of options of plants that it could be. And I would say, in my experience, 95% of the time, the first plant it lists here, especially if you have a good photo, is the right plant. Okay, so it's saying, which you can't read because it's in mirror image, that this is a Crassula ovata, or otherwise known as a Japanese rubber plant, which is exactly what this plant is. Now you could look at the photos here and be like, that doesn't quite fit, and you might want to scroll up and look at some of the other ones if you're not sure. I'm going to trust that you're going to do the best you can to find the scientific name and the common name of your plants. And if you don't quite get it right, I don't really care. I want you just to do the best you can. But it will get it right for you as the first selection almost every time. Okay? So in addition to your field site, you want to start planning ahead for the final presentation that you're going to create. And so what I would like to see everybody do this week is to start preparing for your final project presentation, which is here in Schoology in week 9, where it just asks you to download the LeafSnap app and begin identifying the plant species from your biodiversity survey. Okay. As well as the plant that you collected the range data about. So you're looking to get those identified. And you should be able to do this from the photos you've already taken. You don't need to go back out to your field site to take those photos unless you want to, or unless you only took bark rubbings, for instance. Then you might need to go out and snap some photos of the bark. So we're about done with class today, and I know I spent most of the day talking at you, which I'm going to do my best not to do in the future. But I just wanted to make sure everybody understood the asynchronous work for the week this week. And if you understand everything you need to do, you've got the LeafSnap app downloaded, and you understand the field experience, you're welcome to go. If you had trouble with LeafSnap, or you don't know about the the direct and indirect sampling rat attack video, you're not sure about how to do that or how to do the field visit, please stay and have a quick conversation with me. Otherwise, I hope the rest of your classes go okay today, guys. And you're welcome to leave. Abby, can I help you with something?